Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and this time I bring to you, it says here it came out in 1990, a film called Peacemaker. Now, I know this is for the first Power 100 who actually sent me these films, and it says 1989, but it says here on 1990. It was directed by a guy named Kevin Tenney, who did a film in 1988 called Night of the Demons. He did Witchboard. He did a film 2007, I believe, called Brain Dead. And I thought this was a pretty decent film, pretty decent flick. Basically, it's about you have a spaceship that lands, and a guy comes out, and of course he's a alien in human form. Tries to steal his cop car, and the cops see them and go after him. You get some pretty decent stunt work going on, and pretty much the guy gets shot, practical bullet squibs. Just put to the morgue, and you have this female doctor played by Hillary Shepard. At least that's what she's called here. I think she was in Standard Cop, among other stuff. And as she's checking the guy over, who has a shitload of bullets in him, the guy regenerates himself, takes her, and then you have this other person chasing them, played by Robert Forster, who I'm a fan of. I really enjoy Robert Forster, and Alligator, and Jackie Brown, among other stuff. Maniac Cop 2 and 3. And he had a bit of role in Die Hard and Predator 2. Can't forget those. And this girl, of course, dad doesn't know what's going on. They go back to her apartment. And he pretty much, Lance Edwards pretty much tells the story that he's a cop, a peacemaker, and he's chasing this bad guy, this criminal, Robert Forster's character. And that they're both aliens, they can regenerate themselves. So since they can regenerate themselves, they can take a lot of shots and heal themselves back up given enough time. But then the film sort of plays back and forth where at one point she gets in Robert Forster's, and Robert Forster says, no, I'm the cop, he's the crook. And then says, well, think about it. How come, we both ride at the same time, but he didn't recognize me? How come how come he did this and did that? How come I can speak English very well, but he's trying to learn if we both came at the same time? And this girl, she gets with one person and another, and they keep telling the same story that I'm the cop and they're the crook, and she can't really figure out who is the good guy and who's the bad guy, and we, the audience, is supposed to feel the same way. Of course, I'm not sure if that succeeded because I knew before going in who it was, because I had heard about this film. I remember seeing a picture. I can't remember if it was a Fangoria magazine or something like that, but I remember seeing a picture and hearing about the film and hearing about, it had like twists like that. But I could see in the script that they were trying pretty well to balance it out. Like for a good while you think that Lance Edwards is the bad guy, is the good guy, but then it shifts and you believe that Robert Forster's the good guy. As to who it is, well, that's up to you. Maybe I'll say at the end of the review. But positives I can say about the film is I like Robert Forster. Uh, there's probably more of the other character, Lance Edwards, and the female doctor than of Robert Forster, which is too bad. But I still like Robert Forster. Robert Davi's in here as a cop, actual human cop, who the female doctor knows. He's not in the film too much. He comes in probably at the 30-some minute mark. Even then, he's not in it too much, and he doesn't really do too much, which is too bad. He's like, oh, it's Robert Davi, but they don't really give him too much to do, which is too bad. I will say the script, I think it's a decent script. It has some little bit of witty dialogue. For instance, the girl, the doctor, calls the guy, Lance Edwards calls him Starman, and it has some little bit of witty dialogue at times, but not too much, but a little bit. Practical bullet squibs and some decent stunt work. For instance, there's a sequence where it's in the girls' apartment. Robert Forster and Lance Edwards meet up, and they have a little bit of fight. They have a little bit of fist fight, and then one shooting at the other. They go through a door, then they go through a window slash door. They go to the outside, and Robert Davi arrives to see if the girl's all right and goes after them. And it takes to them running, then get into a vehicle. And you have some decent stunt work. You have cars flipping over, and there's a really one stunt I really enjoy where Lance Edwards is running, and there's Robert Forster coming at him in his truck, and like the Lance Edwards character gets on the ground, like it's one of those roads that curves like this, like you can't see anything until it curves, and we're looking this direction, and like Lance Edwards' character gets down on the ground as the car goes up because it's like this curve and jumps over the guy and keeps going. And we actually see a side shot where you have Lance Edwards' character on the ground, and you see that the car like jumps right over him. And yeah, that's what I mean. It's decent stunt work like that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Or you have good practical scripts, like just to a point where she believes now that Robert Forster is the good guy, and Lance Edwards comes and shoots Robert Forster right here, and you have a big practical bullet squib, really bloody. And then like one's at the bottom, one's at the top, and they're both shooting at each other. And one bullet goes through Robert Forster's leg. And I was talking about like the script. The script is more decent than I thought it would, because there's a point where Lance Edwards, the girl is trying to get away, and Lance Edwards sort of holding the car with his leg, like pushing it, and she's trying to run him over, and he's holding it with his leg, and I'm like, wow, he's really powerful. But then there's another scene where Robert Forster is handcuffed, and he can't pull it off, so he rips his own hand off. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. How come this one alien is so powerful he can withstand the entire car going forward, but Robert Forster's character cannot rip off the handcuffs? But then later on, there is a line where Robert Forster says, "See how I am? See how he didn't recognize me when I first saw him? If he's supposed to be chasing me, if he's supposed to be a cop chasing me, I I've been here for a little while, and I've gotten used to Earth. I've gotten used to how it is here, so I'm not as strong as him." So I like that in the script they actually kind of explain some of that, which I appreciated. Uh, who you find out at the end, who truly is the bad guy. They do a good comeuppance where they get shot in the head, and then they fall back, and it's on this like outside stairwell, like outside of a building. You have the metal stairwell you can and go down ladders and stuff. And yeah, sometimes you see in movies how it's outside of a building. Yeah, like the metal stairs, and then there's like a sign, like a lit sign. Person gets shot, falls back into the sign, gets shot, sparks and explosions and shit, and you see the body completely on fire fall all the way to the ground and then blow up, which I thought was a really cool sequence. So it has some decent scenes, it has some decent stunt work and practical bullet squibs. It's not too long of a film, it's under 90 minutes. I like the idea they were trying to go, no, this person you should trust, this person you should trust. But yeah, it didn't really work on me because I already knew beforehand. And you have some decent makeup effects. Like there's a scene where Robert Forster's character has been completely burned, and so he sits back and he has to rejuvenate. And I think they use a little bit of stop motion, at least because he has no hand, and you see like a hand forming, and you see like his body sort of going back to normal, regenerating. I'm not sure how they did it. If it was stop motion or what, but I liked the look of it. I liked it. The reason I didn't love the film is because the lead actor and actress, Lance Edwards as the other alien, and Hilary Shepard as the doctor, I thought they were. Eh. Lance Edwards, because his character, I don't know if it's the script or I don't know if it's the guy himself, but he didn't seem like a good actor. Again, maybe it's because he just got to Earth and he's supposed to be learning our language, so she's telling him, no, that's a TV, that's a radio, and he goes, radio. I'm like, And like even throughout the film, he has like an accent, like Daniel Bernard Van Damme. You know, they have a sort of an accent. People say they can't speak English, but I thought Van Damme can speak better than this guy. But I don't know if that's supposed to be the point because he's supposed to be learning or what the deal is. He got a thick accent. I don't know. At least to me, it just really put me off on the character. Didn't really make me care about him too much. You know, it's like I'd rather have that be Robert Davi or have that be Robert. You know, more Robert Forster because he did much more Lance Edwards in the girl than Robert Forster. And the female doctor, she was okay. I mean, some of her dialogue I thought was kind of off as well. Her acting was off at times. So again, I think that's part of the reason is that Lance Edwards and the girl, who's your main two that you're with, are not really, to me, were not the most appealing people. I mean, he has some decent bits in dialogue, and I kind of wish Robert Davi was in it a lot more. He doesn't really do a whole lot. Then you get to the ending, which I won't spoil. Basically, at the ending, you find out that she has sex with Lance Edwards, and then she hears about how someone was killed there, and so she automatically believes that it's Lance Edwards is the killer. Goes back to Robert Forster, you know, after escaping him. Then you find out Robert Forster really is the criminal, and Lance Edwards is the peacemaker, and then they get a little bit of a tussle that leads outside to the metal stairwell, and then Robert Forster gets killed by Lance Edwards, like I said, bullet to the head, and thrown back into that sort of sign fixture outside of the building. And that was, yeah, great. You know, the guy I liked more, Robert Forster, he's the bad guy. And I just would rather have preferred if Robert Forster was the main guy. Like, you don't even need to deal with them having to learn English. I don't think you need that in the script. So Lance Edwards wouldn't sound either that, or it's like, well, this guy doesn't know how to act, so but he's the best guy we can get. So let's just have it that he has to learn English, that he doesn't know English that well. I just would have preferred if Robert Forster was the main guy with this girl for most of the time. I think I would have had a better time, and that he was the actual peacemaker instead of the villain. Because then Lance Edwards and girl definitely get more screen time than Robert Forster, I would say. Robert Davi, he's not in it at all. Barely. He's there for a little bit. When he's there, he's good, but he's not really given much to do. I thought, okay, maybe Robert Davi will come in and save the day or do something. Not really. Not much. Which is too bad. So I think the two main leads kind of brought down the enjoyment for me. And they weren't terrible. They weren't the worst actors ever. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but Lance Edwards and Haley Shepard, I just didn't really care too much about them. I care more about Robert Forster, Robert Davi as actors, and then one's not in it that much, and one's in it a little bit more, but then he's the bad guy. I'm like, great. And the music I didn't care for. I didn't care for the musical score. I thought it was kind of over the top too much, especially at the beginning. I thought it was a little too over the top with the music, like going overboard with it. But either way, I guess I liked it as a time waster. It's a interesting idea. One's a cop, one's a crook, and the girl can't tell who's who, and she's saying it's this, and then she's saying it's that. They both can regenerate, so they get shot a lot. You have some decent stunt work. Pretty decent scene with Robert Forster and Lance Edwards chasing each other. And then both of them end up going to this thing that explodes, good explosion, some cars flipping over. So you have like a decent action scene. I like to come up into the bad guy, to go into that sign, then falling all the way down as a burning body that looks really good and explodes. So it's a decent time waster. It's just the two leads weren't really my cup of tea, and that hurts. I much prefer Robert Forster or Robert Davi. It's like, yeah, two better actors, but they should have been given more. than Lance Edwards. I don't, even if that was the script, you could change that part of the script. You don't have to go, oh, he has to learn English. No, he doesn't. He's an alien. He just knows it from telepathy. I don't know. He just knows it out of his ass. But either way, um, maybe that whatever. But it's a decent time. It's worth a watch. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and it definitely doesn't have a candle to the hidden, but it's okay. So thanks for watching and take care.